It was a rainy afternoon in Atlanta. Cars slowed in traffic. People rushed under umbrellas, trying to stay dry. But one man noticed something strange. Mark Henson, a millionaire real estate developer, was driving home when he saw a little girl sitting alone on a park bench. Rain poured over her as she quietly ate from a small lunchbox. Then, as he looked closer, his heart froze. It wasn't just any child. It was his daughter, his adopted daughter, Amara. In that moment, everything he thought he knew about his family began to change. Mark Henson had built a fortune from the ground up. Luxury homes, high-rise towers, and business deals had made him one of the wealthiest men in Georgia. He lived with his wife, Claire, in a sprawling mansion just outside Atlanta. For years, they had tried to have children but couldn't, so 3 years earlier they adopted Amara, a quiet, gentle 7-year-old girl. Amara had lost both her parents in a car accident when she was 5. When the Hensons adopted her, they promised to give her everything she would ever need. Love, comfort, and a safe home. They enrolled her in one of the best private schools in the city. Mark wanted her to have every opportunity money could buy, but he didn't see what was happening. Behind those polished school doors, Amara was one of the only black children in her class. Her classmates came from old money, families that had known each other for generations. They weren't cruel to her directly, but they made her feel different. They whispered about her hair. They laughed at the food she brought for lunch. Sometimes, they avoided sitting near her at all. Amara never complained. She smiled through it all, but inside she was lonely. And every day, that loneliness grew a little heavier. Then came the day Mark saw her in the rain. He pulled his car over immediately. Rainwater splashed as he ran toward the bench. Amara looked up, startled. "Daddy?" she said softly. He took off his coat and wrapped it around her. "What are you doing out here?" he asked. She hesitated, eyes downcast. "I'm eating lunch," she whispered. "In the rain?" he said, confused. She nodded. Mark led her to the car, but something stopped him. He knelt down to meet her eyes. "Sweetheart, why here? Why not at school?" Tears began to fill her eyes. "Because they don't want me there," she said. At first, Mark didn't understand. He thought maybe she had gotten into trouble. But later that evening, when they sat together at home, the truth came out. Amara explained that for months, she had been sitting alone at school. Some of the other children said hurtful things. Some teachers ignored it. One day, she even overheard another parent tell the principal, "I don't want my son sitting next to her." You never know where those kids come from. That was the day she started eating outside. At first, under a tree, then later on that park bench. She said it was quiet there. No one laughed. No one stared. Mark listened in silence. He had spent years building wealth, but he hadn't built time to see her pain. He realized that the comfort of his home meant little if his daughter felt unwanted in the world outside it. The next morning, Mark drove her to school himself. Instead of dropping her off, he walked inside. He asked to speak with the principal. The conversation started politely, but soon turned cold. When Mark asked about the incidents, the principal hesitated. He admitted there had been concerns from other parents. He said the school had tried to handle things quietly. Mark's expression hardened. "You handled it," he said, "by letting a child eat alone in the rain." He withdrew Amara from the school that same day. Then, he went public. Mark called a press conference and shared what had happened, not to seek attention, but to start a conversation. He didn't name the school, but his message was clear. He said, "No child should ever feel less because of who they are or where they come from." The story spread quickly across the city. People began talking about quiet discrimination, the kind that hides behind polite smiles and exclusive circles. Mark took it one step further. He used his wealth to start a foundation in his daughter's name, the Amara Foundation. Its purpose was to help underprivileged and adopted children of color gain access to quality education, and emotional support. He said the foundation wasn't about charity. It was about fairness, about giving every child the chance to feel seen and valued. Amara was enrolled in a new school, smaller, more diverse, and with a strong sense of community. Her teachers described her as bright and kind. She made friends quickly, and for the first time, she came home smiling. Mark often thought back to that rainy afternoon. He realized it had changed him. All his wealth, all his business success couldn't compare to the simple act of seeing his daughter clearly, truly seeing her. Because sometimes, love isn't about what we provide. It's about what we notice and what we choose not to ignore. Months later, a local journalist asked Mark if he regretted speaking out. He said no. He only regretted not noticing sooner. Today, the Amara Foundation funds mentorship and scholarship programs across Georgia. Mark visits schools regularly, talking about empathy, equality, and what it means to belong. When people ask what lesson he learned most, he always says the same thing. You can build towers that touch the sky, but if you don't see the person sitting alone in the rain, you've built nothing at all. Amara, now 10, often joins him on stage. She speaks softly but confidently. She tells other children, you don't have to fit in to be loved. You just have to be yourself. And every time it rains, Mark finds himself pausing by the window. He doesn't see sadness anymore. He sees hope, because that rain, the same rain that once hid his daughters, pain became the beginning of something better. Sometimes, the greatest lessons don't come from success. They come from the moments that stop us, the moments that make us look again and realize what really matters. And for Mark Henson, that moment came on a rainy afternoon, when he finally saw his daughter sitting alone in the rain and understood that love without awareness isn't love at all.